Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Raw and Wild Hearts podcast. I'm your host and guide, Lori Rising, and welcome to today's very special episode called How Maddie Went from Rock Bottom to Tears of Triumph in Less Than a Year. I cannot wait for you to drop in to the gorgeous soul and being that is known as Maddie Hersey. I have had the immense pleasure and honor of working with her in high proximity space for about the last year, not quite a full year. And we are going to get into it for you. I want you to really start to feel what's possible for you that you haven't experienced yet, especially in spaces where you create an environment that cheers you on in a way that you have never felt before, in a way that it's only inevitable that your growth and evolution will happen. I wanted to share Maddie's story with you because her very first retreat experience was with me. She stepped into a very powerful space and she stepped into her courage, quite honestly. And I want you to hear her raw, authentic account of having mentorship and retreat and high proximity and high investment in herself. I'm saying this because I have my Costa Rica retreat experience is coming up in one day less than 2 weeks. So it's 13 days away. There is still one invitation left. I know that you're out there. I know that this is for you. I know that you're even scared. And I want you to start to allow yourself to feel the fear and do it anyway. It's almost like show up and also let yourself be scared. Let yourself step into the unknown. I've been saying this lately with 2025 coming on. It's not that we can do hard things because we do hard things all the time. That's a given. Life is pretty freaking hard out there, but we're shifting that. That's why we're stepping in and doing this hard work, this disruptive work, this healing work, this generational work, because the reality is when we take on the belief that we can do scary things, that we can do unknown things, that we can do things that are yet to be discovered, then we allow ourselves to actually find the mastery in that duality. Oftentimes, we're looking to be on one side or the other of contrast, and that keeps us playing really small and keeps us limited. But when we can sit in the power of the duality and contrast and hold it, especially in a space of curiosity, then we activate the quantum leaps and the deep shifts in our lives. We activate the new evolution or iteration of ourself, and we expand to hold that. So much more to come on that in this beautiful exchange between Maddie and I. But I really want you to drop in and feel this because this retreat experience is the last one of its kind. It's the last week long immersion with me. It's the last international retreat for the foreseeable future. That's not forever. I'm working on my book, so we're going to see what happens and where I go with my book. But this will be the last time that there will be this kind of intimate space, one on one, hands on with me for a whole week internationally right now. My next retreat after this that Maddie and I talk about will be in the States this summer, but it will be shorter and more condensed. And it won't have the deep dive that this one has, especially in our pelvic bowl power. As a former I'm still a pelvic bowl therapist, but this is really where our creation energy lives. This is where our life lives. This is where our matriarchy lives within us. And it's where we're healing our most precious space, which is where all of life lives, where all of life begins, where all of life continues. So if you're feeling the call, if you know that you're the one to complete this circle, get a hold of me. Allow yourself to jump, allow yourself to trust, and we'll chat about it and make sure that it is the right fit, that it's completely aligned, that it's very intentional. I have high integrity in all spaces that I share in my soul business. And if it's not aligned, I'll let you know. And we'll go from there. Without further ado, here is Maddie. Please welcome Maddie Hersey. Hello, Maddie. Welcome to the Wild Heart Revolution.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. I am so excited to deep dive and share your wonderful journey with so many women out there. This is going to be an incredible, incredible transmission.
I'm excited.
Yeah. So, first of all, tell us just a little bit about yourself, Maddie. Like, what's happening in your world and what are you offering?
I have had a lot of things going on this year. But the most exciting thing is a new beginning and the business I am growing right now. I make sourdough and I sell to my local community, and I'm expanding to do more with that. And it's been such a fun journey through creating these beautiful breads and through a really transformational time in my life.
Yeah. Let's speak about that transformational time. Like, whoo! We are in some amazing shifts, and at times they can feel really scary. At times they can feel really wobbly, and at times they can feel really challenging. And so I want to drop in with you because you've done some deep dive work with me. You have began with a 3-month mentorship. That was our really starting off point. Then we moved to the next octave retreat together last summer. And
Yeah.
now you are the beautiful beginner of my year-long mentorship.
Yeah. I'm so excited for it too. It's been great. Oh, wow. Just thinking back through that first mentorship.
Yeah, I want to go back to that because,
Yeah.
first of all, how did you find me? I don't even remember.
Um, I was actually I figured out in astrology, that I had a moon and other things other than just the sun. So I was going through researching my moon and all this stuff, and somehow you came up because there was something going on at the time. I can't remember when it was in, like, I think it was in February. Something there, whatever was going on related to something I searched on Google or on YouTube. And so I found you, and your video, oh my gosh, was just like so um liberating and exciting. And so I booked a free call with you, and then I did a reading, and then I just went on to the mentorship and just kept going.
Yeah. And at that time, that's so, I mean, there's always something huge going on in
Yeah,
astrology.
seems like it. I didn't know that though, then at that point.
Yeah. And at that time, you were, can I say you were at a pretty low point? It was almost like feeling like the point of no return, which I talk about often, where
Mhm.
we just let ourselves keep going and going along this trajectory that we get more and more out of alignment. And then it's like we keep doubling down in things that move us deeper into that separation with self. And it feels like you were kind of at the pinnacle of that. Am I right?
Right. I was in a very hard place in my life, and I was just trying to figure it out. I was trying to figure me out. And that's why I got into astrology, and I was like, whoa, this is crazy. And it just went on from there. But I was in a very, very hard place, and I didn't know what to do at that point. So I was searching for more, to learn more.
Yeah. And if I may, we talked about this before and you said yes to this. You were in a pretty big place of scarcity, right?
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And it just made it everything worse, everything worse.
Yeah. And I mean, that's the norm for so many of us. We get brought up in scarcity. We get reared, like we live in the vibration of scarcity all around us, so it's almost like it feels like an eternal battle or struggle that we're constantly moving through. So I'm curious, even in that space where it felt like lack was more of your reality, how did you find the courage to say yes, to invest in yourself, to invest in a mentorship? Because I know that you were really out of alignment at that time and you were wanting to make really big changes in your life and not able to access the power to do them. And this is what I've really distilled down just to make it simple for people to understand what it's like to work with me. And let me know if you agree with this is I basically help women who are struggling to make a change in their life. Would you agree with that?
Oh my, yes. Yeah, oh, my life is, since I've met you, it hasn't been even a year, and my life is completely different, 100% different. And to answer your question about, how did I say yes to the investment, it was very scary, but I knew at that point, what I was doing wasn't working. I tried working 5 jobs, and I was just angry at the world, and what I was doing wasn't working. So I needed to do something else, and I needed to believe in myself and trust in myself and believe that I can do it and the investment would be worth it by and look where we are. Because it sure was. Um, I had to change my mindset, but you also helped me during my mentorship or during that reading, help me see that little bit. Um, that I could believing in myself and growing myself is what I need in order to move on. I need someone to help guide me in that direction and to show me the things that I can do, what's possible to do.
Yeah, and I mean that's the nice thing about astrology is it helps give us so much confirmation when somebody else sees it, right? When somebody else feels it. And it's almost like you feel less judgmental of those things that have been challenges, triggers, blocks in your life, those limitations. Then, once you allow yourself to feel it and feel seen and feel witnessed in it, it actually reduces the charge. And then we can get so much deeper into the foundation. And for you, we went into the foundation really, really quickly, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. Oh yeah. You've we knew exactly what we had to start working on the first call. I mean, within minutes. So we jumped right in and it was needed. And gosh, without that, I think if I never did the mentorship, I would be in the same situation because I wouldn't have trusted myself or learned how to trust myself or learned to feel into how fractured my entire energy was in so many different places. I wouldn't have known how to get past it. I would have been stuck forever. I felt like truly. And so I needed someone to show me, help me realize it.
And then it became accessible, right?
Yeah. Yes. I
And then
started
it
to see it more, started to realize the things and learn my own self. Like I was able to recognize things more easily.
Right, and then it became a superpower, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And now I'm going to skip ahead just for a second, but then we're going to go back because when you said yes to this year-long mentorship, which I hadn't even offered it to anyone, you came to me and you said, I know what happens when I say yes to this kind of investment, when I create this environment around myself. And I know I still need that. I know that, I'm ready to make changes again in a new way. Right.
Hmm.
And so when you did that, we were able to reignite the superpowers that had already started opening within your own self and your
Hmm.
soul
Yep.
that maybe this is where we're in a spiral, we're in a dance, we're in nothing linear, and so we
Yeah.
will make different moves through our path. And I just love that you recognize so deeply what happens in an investment space rather than in a lack or a cost. And when I say that, this is a massive mindset shift that happens when we get more into an abundance mindset rather than that scarcity mindset. Doesn't mean scarcity is not going to show back up because scarcity is literally vibrating in our world around us all the time. It's
Yeah.
basically like inviting us into more scarcity constantly. So we have to choose that space of investment over and over and over again. And it's like we choose it and we expand. And if we can hold that expansion, we're going to choose it at that next level, which is exactly what you've done in every step of this journey with me.
Mhm.
And, in the beginning, the alignment that came through for you in that first 3-month journey was so massive. You actually released a lot of things that were band-aids or temporary relief in your life. Would you like to talk about that just for a second before we
Sure.
get into the retreat?
Yeah. Um, I was working and I mean, I was just living in so much resistance, and it was in the back of my head for some things, and some things it was more aware. Um, it was every day was it was a struggle. I felt like didn't know who I was, and I was living in a relationship that was difficult, and challenging, and I knew it was, and I knew what I had to do, but I didn't talk about it. I didn't want to tell people. I didn't want to tell myself, and I was drinking. I got on antidepressants. I was on other medications that um, really, I mean, it was for Adderall for ADHD, which I didn't really need to be on. Well, I learned that I didn't need to be on. um, I was just in a place of resistance. I had my two children, and I was angry that I wasn't the mother that I'd always dreamed of being. I felt mad every day because it was hard. I was just trying to make money, pay the mortgage with this expensive house, and everything was hard. Everything felt hard. Everything, and I didn't know how to change it.
I love that you just touched on that because something that was so powerful when you stepped into this year-long mentorship with me that you said was, I was the best mother when I was working on myself.
Ah, it's true. Yeah.
And as mothers, so many women are just living in this loop of sacrifice and putting themselves last.
Oh, yeah. Is that it's so true. It is true. And I think that, I mean, that's what I thought I had to do. But that turns out that's not the way. I was a good mom. I was a good mom when I was happy. And I am a good mom because I'm happy again.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Just so many revelations, so much magic, really, and work. This isn't a space where we're saying this just happens. Like Maddie's talking about not only investing, but showing up to do the work. And, as she talks about releasing these medications and substances that were numbing her out in a life that was very unaligned, this isn't us advocating for anyone to stop any medications, but it is us advocating for starting to open yourself into new paths and possibilities that might move you towards greater alignment and see what happens from there.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. And I did these things carefully, but I realized after getting off of some of the things it does, I mean, I don't need, I can focus on meditation. That helped with my ADHD a lot. And well, one, not drinking helps with not with my ADHD too. So that contributes. And um I just feel better. I feel better since I did that. I feel better overall through all the things we worked through. I mean, it wasn't easy. Um, the things were very hard, but once they're hard, but they weren't as hard as I made it out to be. And I learned how to, the stories, man, I had stories and I still get those stories, but the stories made it harder. That's what made it hard. And we worked through those a lot, which was great because that really helped. That really helped.
Yeah, and I feel like, if I may, it feels like what you're doing by continuing in these investments right now is you're solidifying new stories. You're solidifying like realities that are more aligned than the stories that you had about the past. I mean, we just talked about this today as we had our call, right?
Yeah.
Having a story about somebody in our life and holding them in the past, but gathering new evidence and creating a new
Um,
reality in the new evidence.
mhm.
Well, this is what I'm talking about with mentorship. It's really about refinement in the moments because we have to be so intentional to create these new neural pathways, to choose the new evolution of ourself, the new iteration of ourself until we expand enough to hold it and we create a softness in it, right? We reduce the charge, we create a softness and a neutrality, and then we're able to move to the next level. And at that next level, we will get an opportunity to practice. We will have some kind of duality or contrast come into our life so we can practice the new iteration of us. And that's those continuing spirals that move up in our life.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that was like so crazy when I was first going through my mentorship with you the first time and going for it, but it was just mind blowing to me that you can make these suggestions to me like it was nothing. I remember you saying one time, I was like, I can't afford this house, it stresses me out, and I don't know what to do. And you're like, sell it. I'm like, I can, okay, I guess I can. And I was like, well, why did I think about? I mean, I didn't even think about it because it didn't. It's not like an easy thing for people to do. But then, look, I went to sell it, and I ended up like co-buying it with my family, and now it's a rental property. But like, it wasn't even a thing. I even, I'm like, okay.
But isn't that incredible? Because actually having that shift in the energy allowed you to get more curious about it instead of doubling down in this story that you had, right? In this linear trajectory where we're going into more spaces of control, more spaces of restriction. I created a space of expansion where you could breathe a little bit and you're like, oh, wait. Because that's where we create more of that neutrality where we can be creators. Because if our nervous system is so dysregulated, we can't find creation energy. We can't
Oh,
actually see all the paths and possibilities. And that's where these spaces of new environments help us to start breathing into new spaces. Would you agree?
oh yes, absolutely. And yeah, through many things, I've learned that this past year.
Well, and that's the artistry of life because like you just said, you ended up shifting the way that you released the house and it wasn't the way that like we think it has to happen.
Mhm.
Because you were able to get in more of that artistry of what's possible here, and you found a way into it that actually creates more wealth for you, creates more of that investment in your own life, which is freaking phenomenal. It's freaking fantastic, and I love it. Like, we are here for that, right?
Oh yeah, yes. Yes.
Yeah, it's the new earth that we're creating. No more how it used to be, no more how it had to be. It's like we get to do it in a way that's never been done before. And I see you doing that in every way. I see you doing that in your co parenting, in your mothering, in your business, right? In your investments, in all of your investments that you're planting seeds for now. So I do want
Mhm.
to take us to the retreat space because I feel like you didn't even have the retreat on your mind or in your world and somehow something shifted and suddenly you became part of the retreat and I think it was your first one, right?
Yeah, oh yeah. Yes. Yeah. It was no, I kind of thought about it, but I was like, oh, I don't know if I have the money, it was the money thing, and then like I've like that would be cool, and then one day you had reached out to me, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. I just was like, I'm gonna do it. And I just made that decision right then. And I bought my tickets and I just am gonna do it. I just felt in that moment you reached out to me, I'm like, I'm doing this. And so I made that decision and I was kind of just like, I'm doing it. And I was kind of like the money scarcity comes up. I'm sure it does for a lot of people. It's a thing for a lot of people. And I just did it anyways. And it's okay because it was so worth it. It was the most magical thing ever, and I met the most amazing ladies ever. And I'll never forget the group of ladies and the most beautiful place and the food. I've been thinking about that food a lot this week. I just wish I could have her here in my town in Utah and her cook me the food she made. It was so good. The whole experience was good. I was looking through the pictures yesterday, actually, and it brought back a lot of memories. It was great and it was hard too. It was hard. I didn't expect, but at first I was like, what did I get myself into? You go down deep. It was really, really transformative for sure. It was great.
Yeah. And remind us, was that your first retreat
Oh
experience?
yes. Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yep.
I mean, it's pretty big to have a first retreat experience with me. I mean, you had already had some of that expansion with me, and this
Mhm.
time you came and you got to be in a full place of witness, not just with me, but with a whole circle of women that,
Mm.
I'm quoting that they were strangers, but they weren't. Like, there's an immediate, with the women that come together in my circles, there's immediate love, there's immediate trust, there's immediate care. And, everything that I do is very intentional from the moment that we come together and we move progressively through the workshop. So, did you feel like when you started, it was hard because we started opening up spaces that, maybe you didn't know were going to happen? But did you feel this almost like this welcoming energy or this energy of, I get to go. I get to do this. I get to go further than I thought that I would. Like because I feel so held and so supported here. And
Oh
maybe
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, definitely. I think I mean, I can cry. And so like at the very beginning, I think when I was like, "Woo, I'm gonna be crying a lot." It's just because we were opening up and breaking open the things we needed to work through. But I immediately felt welcomed, and from someone that I saw at the airport, I'm like, she must be with our retreat. I went over, I was like, "Hey, are you going to the retreat?" And she's like, "Yeah." It's immediately very welcoming. The ladies, like I mean, we were all from different places and countries even, and ages, and the ladies, it was so great to be. I didn't want to go home. Remember, I was like, I don't want to go home. Other than my kids, I gotta go, but I was like, I wanted to stay there. Um, it was very welcoming. We were so connected, and the only thing that was hard is at the beginning was just knowing I had to work through the things I had to work through.
And did you?
I felt, and it was a breakthrough.
Mhm.
And then things get in the way when you get home.
So I'm going to change your language there. There's opportunities to practice immediately. Because the thing with retreat spaces is there is such a level of ascension, right? Because it's almost like concentrated because you get out of your normal day to day that keeps pulling you out, right? That like you have to navigate these differences and energies throughout your day. And this is where you walk in immersed in the energy of transformation, immersed in the energy of healing, immersed in the medicine of food and nourishment, immersed in the medicine of unconditional love and sisterhood, right? Like we are disrupting generations of wounds in these retreat spaces. And so it's like for me, and I
Mm.
believe for you as well, it's this reality that our cells remember. It's like the ancient wisdom that our cells hold of a
Yeah.
reality that we came in to live. And I feel like that can be a little bit of that jarring part when you come back into your life and into all the to-dos and the lists and, the bills and all the things, all the stresses. It can be
Yeah.
jarring because it's almost like our cells know the truth of how we came to experience life. And then we come back into how life has been created through the collective for a very long time. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%. And I I put a story in my head about it when I was leaving too, that probably didn't help. And I didn't want to go back. I didn't want to go back because I didn't want to go back to reality, but I didn't change it in a way where instead of saying I'm going to go back to reality and make this new, and I'm going to make this more my reality at home. I went back with worried, so worried. I didn't want to go home, back to reality, knowing I had to get the house ready to sell and paint and do this and do that and go through all these things that I didn't want to go home to. And my mentality should have been a little bit different, but I've learned from it. Things have happened that maybe needed to happen again, or not again, or new things and stuff just to um, helped me realize more. You know, learn
Right.
from it.
Well, I want to talk about your mastery here. So, when we talk about opportunities to practice, they're not usually comfortable. That's the gift of contrast and the gift of the duality that we do live in, and reflection. But here we are. You're in a year-long mentorship
Yeah.
because you went home with that story,
Hmm.
because you went
Yep.
home with resistance. So, the universe was divinely working on your behalf to bring you back into this environment rather than you moving through it in good enough energy. Now here we are, and we've already catapulted within the first month of this year-long mentorship. Would you agree?
Oh yeah, it's been, yeah, 1 month. Can you believe it? It's been 1 month and all the, yeah, we have. And so that's why I went back and went into my little thing that I do. I went down, down, and I'm like, I need Lori, I need her. And so I reached out. I'm like, I don't need a retreat. I need mentorship right now. Because I really needed that right then. And I couldn't leave my babies. I couldn't leave them again because I was just so sad about leaving them. I'm like, what can I do? Can I do mentorship instead of the retreat for now? I can't wait for the next retreat though. I really can't. This summer. I'm so
Yeah.
excited.
Yeah.
But I went down and that's why, because this is gonna be, if we did this in a month, can you imagine we have 11 more months, how much more that can happen? So that's why. That's why it happened. We're moving with we're moving with everything, with life.
Yeah. So do you see how we just everybody out there as well? We just real time shifted a story that Maddie had or evidence that she had about her past. So you were still carrying that story of like, I should have done it differently at the end of the retreat. And we just found the softness and the neutrality in that. And we found the mastery in it. We
Got
found,
chills.
right? We found the elevation. And now your past evidence has changed. This is healing.
It
So
is.
that's, the enormity of the experiences that we have. Maddie was able, even in the space where she had felt like, she was moving backwards a little bit after the retreat because she had went so far. You had gone into such a deep space of ascension and expansion. I think that you've ever felt in this lifetime so far. Am I right on that?
Yeah, absolutely. Hmm.
Yeah. That there was a lot of judgment, a lot of stories, a lot of resistance that came in afterwards. And now we're breathing life back into it. And now the magic of that ascension space is coming back. And this is where you're growing to expand it. Right. So we didn't hold that expansion afterwards for a reason. And now we're in that reason because you still got the message. You still got the innate hit of like, wait, here I am. I know what helps. I know what works. I know what happens when I invest in my environment. Even if I'm feeling a little bit of scarcity, I see the evidence that I have in the past of the investment in the first mentorship, the investment in the retreat. So I'm in again because I'm living from the possibilities. I'm living from that new evidence and those new neural pathways, even if they haven't been completely strengthened yet, even if they're still finding their way in order for me to hold that expansion, right?
Yeah, and I also have the proof of the last two, the mentorship and the retreat, of the things that I've learned in it have taught me enough to make the money to pay him back easily. And that was what I was worried about. So that's a huge thing. Every time I work with you, I know that it's not going to be as scary and scarce as I feel, because I'm going to learn so much in order to just to grow a business, attract in that way to pay it off easily.
Yeah. So
So
you're starting to actually shift into an abundance mindset. It's a whole new world when you live from an abundance mindset. Even if scarcity taps at your door or taps on your soul, when you found the foundation of that and you really do start investing, not just in these types of spaces, but in your environments and your stream of consciousness, you don't let yourself go back to the wobbly as much and you keep moving to those next octaves, those next levels. I remember, Maddie, in the retreat, I'm sitting here feeling back into the retreat, which feels like so long ago, right? Like,
It
think,
feels like so long ago, but it really wasn't. But there's been so much that's gone on
yeah, a
since
whole
then.
lifetime has gone on
Yeah.
since then. But I remember when we were doing one of the last workshops and you were sitting in the middle of all the women.
Yeah.
And
That
that
was a
was,
good one.
it was such a special moment where I feel like there was this deep realization that, and it felt ancestral, where you had never had that kind of depth of female love around you, of like female care, of like that divine feminine just space of holding all that you are.
Yeah, it's making me tear up right now because it was so special. Those and when you are around someone and you feel everything they say is like 100% truthful and they're only saying amazing things about you, it's hard to receive sometimes. And I felt like I could actually receive and feel like every single one of them meant every single thing they said to me. And I always get really weird when people say things to me that are nice. I don't know. It's just a thing. And I just was crying, and then I finally could breathe after, and they were just saying amazing things, and I believed in it, and it felt so true and real. And oh my God, the feeling there was just, I'll remember that forever. I'll remember it forever. It was amazing. I can't wait for the next one.
Yes, and let's shift that language because you do receive it. You received it.
I did. I did. I received it. And that was transformative for me right there. That was where I felt like I was resisting at first. And then I finally opened up and I received and I felt all the love from them. That was like where I really felt like everything changed in that moment for that retreat. That's where my big breakthrough for me was.
Yeah, it feels like a massive like access point of power.
Yeah. Who would have thought receiving is so powerful? Like just accepting love is we in this world it's just been made so hard and it's really just so easy
And so
once you do it.
healing, so
Yeah.
healing, right?
It
Like
oh yeah,
th-
absolutely.
this is the fuel of manifestation, right? Like there are so many spaces of energetic incoherence that we miss when we're trying to create or manifest from our mind. And that was, I feel like, one of the best examples of moving out of resistance into just full softness, into full heart.
That was exactly what it was. It's exactly how it felt.
Mhm. I love that we're reminiscing about this, you
I know
know.
I miss it. Yesterday I was looking at all the beautiful pictures of our goddess crowns. Oh, yeah, I miss it. I miss those ladies.
And how did you move through? Was that the first channeling you had ever experienced?
No, you did one with me at the end of our first mentorship. But all of those channelings were really, really, oh gosh, everything there was so special. I just feel like the energy there, it was just pure magic and just like the disconnection from like real world stuff and just being solely there, not worrying about anything else. Everything made it so magical. Every morning in the sunlight in that field, doing the mat integrations and the channelings. Yeah, it was all amazing. So no, that was the second or third. You did a few channelings, right? And
Okay.
so that was you did one with me at the very end of our mentorship that I listened to the recording to all the time because it was amazing.
Was there a shift in you to experience it real time and in the presence of more of that
Yes.
divinity and with other women?
Yes, absolutely. Um one, you could just feel it more. And I felt like when you were doing the channeling, especially when we were laying in the fields, I felt like the clouds were moving in a way that the sun hit us right just at the right time. When you're saying something specific, you could just feel it, like the sun just opened up and like shined down at those moments where you felt so much energy. I felt like everything was just like working in I can't say it, can you say it?
Synchronicity.
Synchronicity?
Yeah.
Yes, there we go.
Well, and the other thing that was so special about that retreat experience is it was the one that had the biggest expansion in age. So the intergenerational space of that retreat
Yeah.
was so powerful. It was really profound. I think we went from 30 to like, I don't know if it was 65,
Yeah.
66, something like
Yeah, I
that.
think, yeah, and that was really special too. I really, that was one of the things that made it so special. I really do. I really connected with all these ladies as if age wasn't a thing. It was so wonderful. We're
And
just
the,
all human beings, sisters, and yeah.
and then we had them animal magic too.
Oh my gosh. Remember the bats? The
Oh
bats,
yeah.
that's what I saw in the meditation of the sound bath. And the bats came and the cats, the kitties. Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
It was, and the goats and all the animals. It was really magical. I always see their posts on Instagram and Facebook, and I always reminisce in the windy goats times.
Yeah, and that's, the thing with retreats for me is retreating is our way of life. But we've started to create this story about what retreat means and even just probably the definition of retreat. It's like leave your life and do something else and then come back to your life, right? Or a lot of us will see retreats as like something special or extra. And to me, this is why I've created a business around this because this is our way of life. And the more that I'm able to offer these spaces and the more women that say yes to this investment and really find this new coherence in their frequency and energy, the rest of their life actually becomes more abundant, right? Like every part of their life becomes a higher frequency. And that's where we apply what comes through the retreat experience, where you can get into a space without distraction, without all the stresses, without the hustle and grind that we've become so accustomed to. But we also expand it into the next iteration and expand it into our families, our communities when we come back by our vibration shifting and our frequency shifting. Now, what happened for Maddie at the end when she came back and kind of had this slingshot back a little bit, we have now figured out she left with a story and a frequency around that story, but it also led her to something bigger and greater. And so that's where the trust comes in and how we move. But Maddie, what I want to ask you is you have another retreat coming up this summer.
So
Are
excited. Yeah.
Yeah, are you already in this almost this new kind of space where you know what happens in that retreat is going to be applied to the rest of your life? Like you have a new space of trust in the investment
Yes.
when you show up fully in that space.
Yes. Yes. Yes, I do. And even then, that's another like 6 months from now. I will be fully ready to come back and just in leaps and bounds for the future. And I mean, every time we get on a call, I feel like I'm one step like better at recognizing the things that come up in my life and how to manage them in the correct energy rather than resisting or getting into the scarcity or the pain or in your head and stories and all that. So through like every week, you show me something new every single week that I learn, and it's just about learning. I feel like it's just repetition of being reminded of these things so you can recognize it yourself. So yeah, I'm the next retreat, I will come back and I'm just excited to come back. I feel like I'm excited instead of scared. And I'm not even there yet. But yes, I'm excited to come back with what I learned from the next retreat, what comes out, and to apply it to my life after that.
Yeah, with the new expansion and growth of you.
Hmm. Yeah, I'll be a whole different me then. 6 months from now, I'm gonna learn so much by then. So
Well, and this is what I love hearing. If you all out there listening, what you can hear from Maddie now is how much she trusts her investments, how much she trusts her growth at this point, right? Because where we started when Maddie first came to see me, she was in complete scarcity, she was in complete struggle. She was pretty disassociated from herself and, working jobs that were not aligned, were miserable. She wasn't spending time with, like, there were so many things that were out of congruence for her, that were incongruent for her, that were out of alignment. And now she knows. It's like you can almost taste the feeling of alignment within her and the feeling of trust that comes when she shows up, right? When she creates the environment and she shows up. And that's so exciting. It's really like, honestly, I don't know what else we could want other than that space of being eager, of being excited, of trusting and just unfolding into it is what feels like Maddie's life is vibrating in right now. Would you agree?
yeah, and I'm really excited about my life. I'm happy. I'm so happy. And I'm so excited for the future. And I know there's so many things I want to do. And I'm so excited because I feel like I can do them. I will do them. And I can do anything I really want to as long as I just I stick within myself. I trust myself and I love myself and I continue on. So I'm excited. I'm excited for my future. I really am.
Well, what I wanted to do in this beautiful unfolding that we've been sharing with people is I wanted other women to feel what's possible for them, right? Women that are struggling to make a change, women that are in scarcity, women that are afraid to invest in themselves because they're seeing it as a cost, right? They're seeing it from a space of lack because they're not seeing what's possible on the other side, what will grow from that place of alignment, frequency, and the kinds of manifestations that will show up in their life. And you have just exemplified so much of that in less than a year. And now things are booming. We are going forward, baby. So, what I want to share with the audience, first of all, I want to thank Maddie so much for her vulnerability, PS, which is our superpower, and sharing her story with all of you so that you can start to feel what's possible, even when you're in those spaces, which Maddie was. And she felt the fear anyway. And she went forward anyway because she knew she couldn't be in that pain and that struggle and that challenge anymore. But what I want to talk about is what Maddie has birthed through all of this, which is her incredible business. You've heard her speak a couple of times about what she knows she wants right now. And one of the big things that is a theme is that she wants to spend time with her children. She wants to really have that kind of space with her family. And so Maddie has created a business that offers that magic. And it offers magic in so many ways. And I want to share a little bit about this with you because she's going to offer you something for free. And I know I'm really excited about this because I get a little overwhelmed in this area, but she's going to help us break it down in this space of magic. So, Maddie, what is it that you're going to be offering us? What is it? You've talked a little bit about what you do, but like, I just want you to share almost the power that has come through you by realizing that you get to create from what you want. Because so many of us believe that we have to work these jobs in order for survival. And you're in this transformation of this right now into, and this is going to be a massive manifestation for you in this business. So just go for it and share a little bit more about that with us.
Sure. Yeah, and I want to say like one thing that was really scary with starting your my own business was just like it just seems like a scary thing to do. even though I was the one running businesses for other people, fully managing their business, I didn't have any trust or belief in like running my own business. And I don't know why, because I was doing all the same things for their businesses that I could do for my own. I don't know what it was that was just so scary. It's just maybe taking, I don't know, but once I realized that I've been doing this for other people and I could do it for myself, that was a huge thing for me, and it's not so scary to do. Um, I found a passion in creating bread. So from creating this bread, I started a business. It's something I'm passionate about. And I want to offer everyone a free beginner's guide on sourdough bread. It can be overwhelming, and it was for me. And I messed up so many times, I will tell you. And my kids have became a part of it. So they always get their own little dough that they get to do the stretches and the folds and the rolling and the shaping, and they get to put their fingers on that dough, and so they'll have theirs off to the side. So I have created a beginner's guide that kind of shows you how to go through these steps, but even my kids go through with me, and it is easier than a lot of people make it out to be. So this guide is kind of just like an easy guide to go through. It's a free ebook, and it kind of shows the steps through it, and it has more of the things that you can do to bring to your bread to make it creative, have fun with it. There's all kinds of designs you can do that are really fun. I find the the routine of it really fun. Waking up early, mixing all the dough, doing all that before the kids get up, and then doing the stretches and folds with my kids is really fun. But we go through all these steps in the ebook, and it kind of gives you a breakdown of every step and how to make it easy and different ways to do it, and especially different ovens and different temperatures and all that. It kind of breaks it down to make it easy, because I know a lot of all of the math and the baker's math and stuff gets very complicated. So this is a easy beginner's guide to sourdough if you want to create your own sourdough and your little sourdough masterpiece. And it's so delicious. So I will leave a recipe in there as well.
I love that you just shared what a masterpiece it is because honestly, like I you infuse all of your baking with the mothering love that you have. Like the theme through this is we've heard Maddie talk about how important being a mom is and how important her kids are and how important it is for her to spend time with them. So everything that she's been creating even in this business is from that mothering love, and that mothering love goes into every bake that she shares. And
Mhm.
I feel like this bread making allows us a deep space of healing. And you've been through a deep healing process as you've been opening this business up
Business, yeah.
to the
Yeah.
world. Like it's such a space of nourishment, of nurturing, right? On so many levels. And that's what you infuse into everything that you share in this business, which I find very exciting.
Oh yeah. And this business is so special to me because it was a big turning point in my life. I'm gonna get teary. Um, it was a big turning point in my life. I realized I'm completely changing my entire life around, and for the good, but it was big and it was scary and it was transformative. And so I named my business, and I created this business through while I was working through hard things. So tears. So I named this business something that felt right at the time. And so I named it a name that felt really special at the time, and it's continuing to just be something really special to me. It's the name was Rise and Radiate Bakery, and I'm going to continue rising and radiating.
We are here for it. Ah, the frequency of those words and that name, it really does radiate through the love that you put into all of it and the care that you put into everything that you're giving, not just for your kids, for yourself, for the world, for other women, for people and their health and their their own nourishment that comes from our medicine as food. Thank you so much, Maddie.
You're welcome.
And we love ending in those sacred tears. It feels like those are tears of triumph.
They are. Oh, that's the perfect word. They really are. They are. It's so special to me. So it's just, yes, triumph.
Ah, oh, yes. Thank you so much, Maddie. Thank you for offering everyone that free ebook. I know I'm going to be taking you up on it because it's something that's always been in my periphery. But again, I had a story about sourdough and about the time, right? But this is like I want this to be something that I really it's a craft. It's like I want to put time, I want to put care and intention into it, and I see you do it and it makes me feel what's possible for me. So, I hope that everyone through this episode has felt what is possible for you and how quickly things can change when you really show up in the way that you're being called to, when you say yes to your innate guidance and you show up to do the work of it like Maddie has. And we all want to live in those tears of triumph from there. So, Maddie, thank you so, so much for sharing in really beautiful ways here today with all of us.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for having me on. And to anyone listening, just remember and believe in yourself and trust in yourself and trust in mentorship because it will really push you through leaps and bounds.
And tell everybody where they can find you. I think you've got Instagram. What's your handle?
Yeah, Instagram at Rise and Radiate Bakery. And then I think you're gonna drop down the website to the ebook.
Yep. I will drop the link for the free ebook. I'll drop your Instagram. And if you've got a website, I'll drop that as well.
Thank you.
Yay. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. And until next time, don't forget to keep looking up.